Good evening. My name is Tracy Edwards, and I'm the co-president of the League of Women Voters of Cupertino-Sunnyvale. Today's candidate forum for the Cupertino City Council will run about 2 hours. Only the moderator and the candidates will be on screen. All other attendees are muted, and this session is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be available at lwvcs.org in the next few days. Now, before we get to the purpose of the forum, some background information about who the League is and about voting in the November election. The League has been empowering voters and defending democracy for over 100 years. We were founded in February of 1920, just 6 months before women won the right to vote. We have two distinct functions done separately through two different corporations. One that does voter education, of which today's event is an example, and the other which, after exhaustive study, takes position and then, as appropriate, advocates for the passage of laws. Now, to say the California ballot can be challenging is an understatement, and we have some good news, and that's Vote 411, formerly known as Voter's Edge. Vote 411 is a comprehensive, nonpartisan online guide to elections covering federal, state, and local races and state and local ballot measures. Vote 411 also includes campaign finance information. Simply type vote411.org into your browser, click on vote411.org, and when the screen comes up, scroll down just slightly and enter your address, and your ballot information and related information will be available. Regarding the November election, please pay attention to how they list your name. Is it first or last, first and last, or first, middle, and last? And sign the ballot in the same way it's shown on your ballot envelope. And because California passed the Voters' Choice Act, you have several options on how to deliver your ballot. You may deliver your ballot by mail, but if you do so, please mail early. You can place your ballot in a drop box, or you can deliver your ballot to a vote center. These centers replace the old community polling stations. And if you need to check your voter registration, find a drop box or a vote center, any matter related to voting, just go to rovservices.sccgov.org. If you'd like additional nonpartisan information, please visit the site shown on the slide. And I'll just pause here if you'd like to take a screenshot. If you would like to attend any of our other forums, please go to our website, lwvcs.org, and you can view the calendar events and register to attend. Our events are recorded and are posted to the website within just a few days of the event. So we're going to get started, and I'm going to welcome the candidates to join me. Excellent. There are 7 candidates for 2 Cupertino City Council seats, each with a 4-year term. 6 of the candidates are here with us this evening. The candidates have agreed to the format and the ground rules for this forum. I will pose questions which were gathered in advance. Each question has a designated response time of 90 seconds, 60 seconds, or in some cases, a show of hands. The timer will give the candidates visual signals to help them pace the responses and to stop on time. Each candidate has agreed to be responsive to the questions they're asked, civil in their responses, not interrupt another candidate or the moderator, an important rule, and not make any remarks that are personal in nature or directed at any individual. And if the candidate violates the ground rules more than twice, the candidate may be removed from the forum. We also ask the candidates and the public, if you choose to reference the recording of this forum or any of our forums, to do so only in its entirety. You may not reference or take a clip of only a portion of the forum. Each candidate also has 2 30-second rebuttal opportunities they may use to rebut the remarks of any other candidate. They may not use their rebuttal time just to add to their own comments or to go off topic. If a candidate would like to use the rebuttal, they will simply raise their hand. And in advance, the candidates were provided the first and last question. And before we begin, just one last matter. For any candidate unable to attend today's forum, we extended the offer of reading a brief statement prepared by the candidate. The one candidate not in attendance today submitted a statement to be read. That was Hung Wei, and I'm going to read her statement now. A proud resident of Cupertino for over 30 years, Hung has dedicated herself to serving the city as a council member, mayor, and an advocate for equity, education, and safety. During her time in office, Hung has worked tirelessly to secure funding for local schools, improve public safety, and protect open spaces. She led efforts to support small businesses during the pandemic and championed policies that promoted affordable housing and sustainable development. As a strong advocate for thoughtful, community-centered planning for the Valco site, Hung has pushed for a balanced approach that addresses both the need for housing and the concerns of residents, all while ensuring fiscal responsibility and prudent use of taxpayer resources. Hung is committed to creating a Cupertino that works for everyone, a place where families can thrive, local businesses can grow, and children have access to the best educational opportunities. With your support, you will continue to advocate for policies that prioritize housing affordability, environmental sustainability, and smart growth while preserving the quality of life we all cherish. Thank you for your time and consideration. Please visit hungweiforcupertino.com for more information. I just want to repeat, the League read this statement on behalf of Hung Wei. The League does not endorse or oppose any candidate or party, including for this race. And now I want to extend a warm welcome to Claudio Bono, Barry Chang, Kitty Moore, Rod Sinks, Ray Wang, and Gilbert Wong. And we're going to get started. The speaking order was randomly drawn, and the speaking order will shift with each question. The speaking order for the first question will be Kitty, Claudio, Barry, Ray, Gilbert, and Rod. Kitty, why are you qualified to be on the city council? You have 90 seconds.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Kitty Moore. I speak honestly and realistically about the challenges with development projects, revenue, budget, hazardous waste cleanups, and opportunities for our community. Growing up on food stamps and becoming financially independent before I was 18, working up to 3 jobs at a time to graduate in civil engineering ingrained in me the importance of fiscal accountability. Having a proud heritage of selfless military service provides me with humble gratitude and willingness to serve. Having both my late parents and now my brother battling cancers taught me the importance of having a clean environment. I have current experience over the past 6 years serving the residents, reading thousands of pages of documents to make informed decisions. Residents need to recall that we had a 14-year embezzlement from a city finance employee. I noticed this year and got 65 million of idle funds moved to prudently be invested and working for us. I supported the $8 million grant to expand Silicon Valley Hopper to Santa Clara. I supported the library expansion because education matters. I support construction workers and residents' health in dealing with the extensive hazardous waste at various sites in the city. I support license plate readers, which have just been approved to help our public safety officers protect us. I'm known for doing my homework and for consistently showing up prepared and representing you, the residents. I humbly seek your vote to continue this important work. Thank you.
Thank you. Claudio?
Good evening. My name is Claudio Bono, proud Cupertino resident for over 10 years and a first-generation immigrant. I have dedicated myself to serving our community through various nonprofits, including Chamber of Commerce, Historical Society, Rotary Club. Currently, I serve as Parks and Recreation Commissioner in good standing. In my professional life, I manage 2 hotels, including a winery right here in Cupertino. Since 2014, I have brought millions of dollars in hotel taxes to our city, and I'm recognized for my commitment to helping our community. This experience uniquely qualifies me to run for office. I also possess strong leadership qualities, including the ability to manage and respect staff, and effectively, I have proven record of success without fighting lawsuits or negative reports. My focus is on addressing issues and finding solutions through compromise. I'm fluent in 5 languages and pride myself on my ability to work collaboratively with everyone. I believe in transparency and integrity. I will not compromise my values for a vote. My goal is to bridge the gap between resident and the city council, ensuring that all voices are heard. I'm humbly asking for your support in this election. If you value truth, honesty, and integrity and want to help shape Cupertino for the next generation, please vote Claudio Bono, number 3 on your ballots on November 5th. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Barry?
My name is Barry Chen. I'm number 2 on your ballot. I was the former mayor, 2016. I served 8 years on Cupertino School Board, so I'm for education. And as 9 years serving on the city council, including 1 year as the mayor, I have worked really hard to close down the Lehigh cement operation. So now we have a cleaner air, cleaner water to drink, and cleaner air to breathe. Okay. It took me over 20 years. And then when I started, no one helped me. I'm the one, and everybody said that's impossible, okay? But for public health and public safety, that got to be done. So I took the stand and I do it. I get it done, okay? Of course, later on, there's some people helping me. And then as a council member and as a mayor, I approved Apple Park project, okay? And then negotiate with Apple with a 30% increase of the sales tax rate hike to city of Cupertino, become one of the largest revenue for our city. So I'm asking for your help because the city has been mismanagement. So we are in the wrong track. So we need to face the deficit situation. Now we have a settlement with the state that we are losing Apple $30 million revenue out of 120 million budget annually. How are we going to deal with it? None of the candidates want to face this problem, especially incumbent.
Thank you. Thank you. Ray?
Hello. Hi, thank you for having me today. I'm a 20-year resident and have raised our family here. I'll be number 5 on your ballot. Cupertino is an amazing place to live. We all work very hard to be here, and we can work together to improve the quality of life, but we have to improve our fiscal accountability so we can improve our community and, of course, our ability to actually sustain our businesses and, of course, our schools. I've served as your planning commissioner chair from 2019 to 2021. We worked on projects such as affordable housing, Westport, Parkland on the east side, safe routes to school for kids, and a housing element that was housing forward with density in the right places. I bring business experiences working with the largest global 2000 companies in the world and with the smallest startups looking to enter new markets. In my day job, I help companies determine what technologies to purchase to support their businesses. I want to bring that business acumen to our deals or procurement and our ability to be successful. And also building a small business council. I have a bachelor's and master's from Johns Hopkins in public health and have a policy angle. I want to use that to think about long-term solutions in ways that we can actually improve the community, improve our quality of life, improve public safety. A lot of the work that we're doing today really requires us to work across the aisle. And I mean the aisle, we don't have political parties, but we do have a gap between resident-focused candidates and those that actually support special interests that might not necessarily belong to the majority interest. So I'm here to actually build those bridges and, more importantly, use those opportunities to actually improve our community and, of course, build a better Cupertino.
Thank you. Gilbert?
Hi, my name is Gilbert Wong. I want to say thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us tonight. As a former Cupertino mayor and council member, I've always been passionate about serving our community. I'm running again because I believe we need strong, experienced leadership to navigate the challenges we face, particularly in housing, infrastructure, and community development. My top priorities include addressing our housing needs in a balanced and thoughtful manner, improving local infrastructure, and fostering stronger community connections. I want to ensure that Cupertino remains a vibrant, inclusive place for families, students, and our local business. Our diversity is our strength, and I want to continue building bridges between different communities to ensure everyone's voice is heard. I'm number 6 on the ballot. My wife, Helen, and I are very proud to raise our $2 in the public education system in Cupertino School District and Foothill, Indiana. To learn more information, please go to gilbertwong.org. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rod?
Okay, I think I'm there. Well, thank you for hosting us. I'm Rod Sinks. Cupertino residents want results, and I have a track record of delivering them. As a council member, I fought to make Main Street Cupertino a vibrant hub. Now it's time to build a downtown in our city at the old Valco site with entertainment, dining, and retail. And I have the expertise to negotiate a better project than that allowed by state law. I'll promote housing for teachers and families, which is vital for strengthening our schools. that are experiencing declining enrollment. As your mayor, I also launched a groundbreaking bike pedestrian plan to ensure safer routes for our kids. And I introduced SV Hopper shuttles to serve students, seniors, and commuters. I'm proud to have led the charge for Silicon Valley Clean Energy, bringing us less expensive and greener electricity since 2017. As board member and chair of the Bay Area Air District, I helped secure a deal with the cement plant to dramatically improve our air quality. As a trustee for FUHSD, I fought to maintain electives, expand transportation options, modernize campuses, and enhance climate education. I'm a seasoned high-tech executive, a scout leader, a robotics mentor, and proud past president of the Cupertino Rotary Club. I'm resident focused and don't accept developer funding. Please check out rodsinks.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Rod, we're going to stick with you. You're our first responder on this next question, which is, please share your top 3 priorities for Cupertino, and please be very specific. And you have 60 seconds.
Yeah, my biggest priority is to work to build a downtown for Cupertino at the old Valco site. You know, we had declining revenue from sales tax as Valco declined over 20 years. Fortunately, Apple came along, but we no longer, as Barry pointed out, have that revenue stream. And rather than cut city services, I would like to get good old-fashioned economic development at that site to give us a place to go have fun with more entertainment, more dining, more retail, more housing at all income levels. So I know we'll talk about that more during this debate. I'm also known as a climate leader, and I look forward to serving in that role to bring us to a better future where we can anticipate issues with water and issues with infrastructure. The world has to cope with this. I brought, as I've said, shuttles to Cupertino in the form of SV Hopper. That was my initiative. We've now expanded that into Santa Clara, and we're going to expand it into Sunnyvale shortly.
Thank you very much. And I'm just going to repeat it, just to make sure everybody's clear on the question. Please share your top 3 priorities for Cupertino, and to be specific. So Kitty, we're going to go to you next, and you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. So my top 3 priorities are the environment, protecting your health, safety, and welfare, especially since we have contaminated sites. The site at Lehigh actually shut down making cement because they ran out of limestone. That's the facts there. Also, for public safety, we just passed the automatic license plate reader program, which will help our public safety officers, our law enforcement officers, to research and find out who has stolen a vehicle, or if there's a missing person, that they can check with that. And lastly, it's with regards to fiscal accountability. I know that I sent you some information about, let's see if I can get this to show up, some information about what actually happened with the budget. I go very thoroughly through the budget, and the drop was actually not the full 30 million. It's actually more like about 13.3 million, and I support being tighter on the budget and not raising taxes.
Thank you very much. Claudio.
I forgot to mention earlier, thank you for hosting this event. My top three priorities are bringing back common sense and good governance. We need to protect our city staff, break down the red tape, and put an end to the scandals, and stop the spending on lawsuits, and bring back thoughtfulness and creativity and community values to our decision making. Regaining local control and preserving our neighborhoods. I will take on builders' remedy and champion smart and sensible planning of affordable housing to build housing that makes sense for us and respect our existing neighborhoods, and maintaining great schools and restoring city services and our quality of life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Barry.
My 3 priority, number 1, deal with the deficit issue. Okay, had been mismanagement by the previous and also current council. That's why we are getting into this situation that we have budget deficit situation. And then think about it. I talked to the city manager, or 30 million is from the city manager. Okay, out of 120 million budget annually, we are going to lose 30 million from Apple sale tax. How are you going to deal with it? This is a big elephant in the room, and none of other candidates want to face this issue, especially the incumbent. They're the one causing the problem. So number one, deal with the deficit problem, increase the revenue for the city. Number two, stop the intrusion into our residential neighborhood with all this building remedy, okay? And it all cost the current council, okay? The one claiming that he is for the people, but he voted no for the.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ray.
Thank you for asking. The three priorities I have are: first, fiscal accountability. We need to clean up our city's finances, from tax revenue to wasteful spending. Council members need to be able to see our finances and not be told they can't ask tough questions to the city staff. Instead of wasting millions on consultants, how about upskilling our staff so they can do the work themselves and build a satisfying career? The other piece, quality of life with economic development. We need to reinstate our Economic Development Commission, work with developers and entrepreneurs to create entertainment options, retail and food experiences. We can create a small business council and attract more festivals, fairs. Let's bring back Bobatina and more. And of course, public safety. Many of us don't feel safe, and we need to work closely with the sheriffs and block leaders to improve our neighborhood watch and other preventative measures. We had a man held at gunpoint at the Chase on De Anza. Many folks have had their homes robbed. We can calm streets and speeds where needed and keep our drivers, pedestrians, and bikers safe, but also take in consideration traffic and commute times as well. And more importantly, all this will lead to people wanting to stay here, come back here, and develop and build Cupertino into a fun place again.
Thank you. Gilbert.
My three top priorities are very simple. Number one, affordable housing. We need to get Valco built. We have a great project with the Rise, and there are opportunities to have affordable housing there. Also, the Mary Avenue, that's sponsored by Cupertino Rotary. Here we have an opportunity to help our disabled community to get that built. Number two, public safety. We need to keep our residents safe. One of the things I heard from residents in Eastern Cupertino is that we want to be safe, and there is a shortage as more development is going there, that we need to make sure that we have a fire station, because our growing needs are expanding beyond the 3 fire stations that we currently have. And lastly, number 3 is parks and trails. I think that it's very important for the deficient areas of Eastern Cupertino. We always hear about Monte Vista, but we need to get a park. And there's an opportunity at Sedgwick Elementary School with the Finch property that we can work in partnership with the Cupertino School District to purchase. And I think that's an opportunity that Eastern Cupertino residents deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. 4 of our 6 candidates here today have been on the Cupertino City Council, suggesting a lack of leadership pipeline for the City Council. So to all of you, recognizing who I'm speaking to, do you agree? And if so, what do you suggest can be done to improve the pipeline? And if you disagree, please explain why. And Gilbert, we'll start with you.
I don't really understand the question clearly, so maybe succinctly explain your question again. I apologize.
Sure, it's just, we have a lot of repeat candidates or incumbents in this race, more than we have normally in a race, suggesting a lack of sort of new faces coming in to the pipeline to run for office. And I'm asking, do you agree with that as an assessment that there's lack of pipeline? And if you do agree, what would you do to improve the pipeline? And if you disagree with the statement, why do you disagree?
And how many seconds do we have for that?
I'm sorry, 60 seconds. Thank you, Ray.
Thanks.
Thank you for the clarification.
Absolutely.
I disagree with that because there's a great group of experienced people that we have. A lot of us are either former mayors or current commissioners or former commissioners. I'm just really excited that we have a great group of people. And of course, our 2 incumbents, I can't ignore that. I think that it's very important to have experience. I believe that the experience represented here are many, many years of experience. Maybe you're on the Planning Commission, Parks and Recreation, or former mayors. I think that it's really important that the relationships that have developed at both the local level, the state level, and the federal level will come in handy. My visits to Sacramento or my visits to Washington, D.C. over the numerous years can bring back dollars to our city. Thank you.
Okay, Rod.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that we need to grow our leadership pipeline. And I have been working with a number of groups in the city, civic groups. The League of Women Voters is certainly interested in this. Daryl Stowe and Min Lee and others that used to teach those classes to see what we could do to restart what we used to have in the city, Leadership 95014. Unfortunately, in 2019, a new council decided we didn't need a new pipeline, I guess, because the executive director at the time said, I'm so done with this. It doesn't seem like there's much interest in growing next generation leaders. So I think it's vital for us to find and grow those folks. It's an intimidating thing to stand for city council. It is hard work, and we need all the great people we can get. And we have so many talented people in the city that would be willing to give their time if we can just teach them how.
Thank you very much. Kitty.
Great, thank you. So in California, last I saw, about 30% of the city council members had served previously on the Planning Commission. And I think that's a very valuable commission to serve on. About 5-6 years ago, when I first started serving there, the Planning Commission was tasked with going through all of the general plan objective standards. And I think there were over 180 of them. And the reason why was because the new housing laws from the Sacramento meant that we needed to have under ministerial approvals, we needed to have objective standards, which were very clear. And in our general plan, we had requirements like it should be, this roof ceiling heights should be stepped down, or the roof heights should be stepped down near residential areas. And that's not a concrete objective standard. We need to have words like shall. So in order to grow, we need to have more education. And I think we'll have a better future if we're getting people from the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Claudio.
Well, I think personally myself, I think that we need to have new leaders in our city, and new leaders of people that can actually have brand new energy, that can listen, that are willing, and that are focused with what the resident wants. So as a Parks and Recreation Commissioner, sorry, I mean, I'm already kind of drilled. You have to be ready and read your packets. And at the end of the day, you just need to be willing and listen and do the best you can. And I'm only focused on one special interest. That's the residents. So, and the good news with me is that I know how to be prepared and compromise. This is not about left side or right side that I've heard about the past 10 years that I'm here or more. And it's all about making it happen. And that's why I'm running in this race.
Thank you. Barry.
The reason is we have so many people running in Cupertino. That's a good sign. Okay. And then the reason I'm coming back is because I feel obligated to do it, because the city was mismanaged. Now, the city is in crisis. Okay. Crisis in Chinese it stands for two words, which it means dangerous and also opportunity. So in this crisis, you need someone has experience, have the leadership to help this city pass through all this hard time. We have the candidate was saying that he's for preventing the builder remedy. She will help the resident, but then she voted no on the housing element, and then that's lying to the public. That's bad. We cannot allow that to happen. So in this crisis, we need someone with experience to lead this city through this hardship. And I have the experience. I've raised more revenue for the city.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ray.
I think it's an interesting question, right? Having all these former mayors and former folks come and run and say that has to do with, not having the leadership or having the right place or coming back in terms of crisis. On one hand, it's great to have so much experience in one place. On the other hand, so much of that experience is part of the problem. We really have to be focused on building a responsive city council to residents. And I think that it's good to have new blood, but it's also have blood that's in the interest of residents. And you look at voting records and you see that. That accusation that someone voted no on a housing element because they weren't in favor of something, it's because maybe the housing element was not a good housing element. And that's the type of folks we need on council. I think specifically mentioning Kitty Moore there. But we do have to, whether we believe we're in different groups or parties, we can take block leaders, put them into leadership academy, get them in to be commissioners, and then get them to be to the city council. We need to build out a pipeline, regardless of who you believe, what policies you believe. That's an important thing, and I would commit to doing that if elected.
Thank you. Claudio, you want to use a rebuttal?
Yes, I just wanted to rebuke a little bit what just Mr. Wang just said. At the end of the day, he mentioned that obviously it didn't happen because it voted no because it was wrong for the housing element. No, at the end of the day, we lost control of our city. There are too many no's going on for so many years. The question is, why need to run again when you know that you're part of the problem? And that's why we lost governance of our own city. That's why we have builders remedy. So no, that was not right for our city to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Ray, we're going to start with you on this next question. Cupertino underwent a civil grand jury investigation and an independent review of its governance practices, in part focused on the role of the city council and the city manager. Explain how you see the difference between the role of the city council and the role of the city manager. You have 60 seconds.
It's a great question, right? The city council has only two folks that they're responsible for, which is the city manager and, of course, the city attorney. It's a city manager form of government, which we have signed up for, and that is the role. And so all decisions and what has to be done is basically affected by, responses to the city manager and the city attorney. At that point, if there's staff being directed by the city council, which seems to happen a lot these days, that shouldn't be happening, right? That's part of the division on the line. So we've seen that happen with former mayors and other folks trying to influence staff or make their decisions made. We've seen that with special interests who are now sitting on the council doing the same thing. And those are things that should not be happening. It's still happening. And so, while I don't agree with that civil grand jury report and how it was set up, what I can say is that it's important to keep that city manager, city council, city manager type of government in place. But we really need to make sure that staff is not directing, council's not directing staff in that way. We think we had some kind of that issue just happen probably a few weeks ago. So this is not good.
Thank you. Gilbert.
So the role of a city council member is that we are elected by our citizens, by the voters. And our role is that we only appoint or fire two employees, which is the city council member, which is the city manager, as well as our city attorney. We hire them to run the day-to-day affairs. We just set public policy. We're like on a board of directors, our mayor is the president, and then we hire a manager who runs the day-to-day affairs. I think that I was not on the council when the grand jury report came out, but there was some deficiencies as stated, that there were certain council members that interfere in day-to-day affairs. I hope that when I'm elected, that we will let our wonderful staff run our wonderful city so that we can move forward and not backward. Thank you.
Thank you. Rod?
Well, the civil grand jury did call out former mayor Darcy Paul and council member Kitty Moore, talked about councilmatic interference. We had a internal investigation following that. The grand jury was fair. They released the results after the 2022 election. We need to get back to a form of governance where we manage the city as a council majority through the city manager and the city attorney. Those are our only two employees. And we need to be responsible. We need to be respectful of staff. We need to demand more. When we criticize, we can do that in private. There's been too much of blaming staff. They, as cited in the report, demoralized. We've had many city managers leave. One lasted only 6 months. I'm looking forward to greater stability and a better outcome for our city.
Thank you. And before I go to Kitty, I'm just going to remind everybody, and I don't think anybody has crossed the line at this point, but please, in your remarks, don't direct them or infer individuals in those remarks. It would be better for all of us. And I don't think anybody did that, but just as a caution to everybody. Kitty, please, to you.
Oh, thank you, Tracy. Will you repeat the question, please?
Sure, happy to. Cupertino underwent a civil grand jury investigation and an independent review of its governance practices, and specifically the role of the city council versus the city manager. Please explain how you see the difference between the role of the city council and the role of the city manager.
Okay, thank you. So that was a report from the end of, what was it, 2022? So the council sets the policy and the city manager's role to implement that policy. We have a duty, we have a fiduciary duty to the city, and we need to be fiscally accountable for the public's tax dollars. So I recall in that time, there was credit card bills that were going up to $95,000 a month, and there was no accounting for where that money was going. So that was one of the questions which was raised, and it was a good one, and we needed to get that figured out, and it was. Again, earlier this year, I found that there's $65 million sitting in a non-interest bearing checking account, and staff should never have let that happen. We lost over $3.2 million in interest, and we have to do our fiduciary duty for the public. We have a responsibility.
Thank you very much. Claudio? Oh, Claudio, you want to use your second rebuttal?
Yes, I wanted to do it in regard to the
I just
comment
want
that was.
I just want to make sure you only have two, so this would be your second one. Okay.
I know, I understand. Thank you. I just wanted to make a quick rebuttal. At the end of the day, we're keeping on talking about the $65 million IDLES fund. Again, these accounts are operational accounts. For example, if we have a seismic issue here, or having a big problem going on, what are you going to do if all your funds are set aside? So this is not to make money, but to be ready in case of issues in our city. I wanted to make that clear.
Thank you. And so the question is to you to respond to the one I posed about the difference between the role of city council and the role of the city manager.
Yeah. First and foremost, you hire talent. You don't give them shackles at the end of the day. So you hire them and you expect them to perform. Same as a hotel or any organization, is the same thing. You're trying to make sure that they have the support that they need in order for them to do their job. You can't diminish their power and their intelligence by then telling them what to do. So we need to learn from each other. We need to make sure that they run their day-to-day operation, and we need to make sure we oversee it. And if there is any issues, then, you know, we put some comments on it, but there's ways to talk to staff. We are here to set policies and ordinance, not to be private investigator or not. We need to trust the people we hired for. And we have an amazing city manager, and the last thing I want to see is to have another one go. She is amazing, and she is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. The next question is, and it will start with Barry, in what ways have you demonstrated innovation in your prior roles? And I'm looking for roles not on city council.
No, I want to answer the question. I did not get a chance to answer your previous question.
I'm very sorry. I thought you did.
Skipped them on city manager.
I'm very sorry, Barry. Excuse me. Forgive me. Please go ahead.
So civil grand jury in report proven that the city was mismanagement in the fiscal way, and then in the policy way. The city council's job is set the policy, hire the city manager and hire city attorney, and let them do their work. But then the current council and then the previous council is totally mismanaged. What are you going to, as a city council member, what are you going to bring this city? Do you have a vision? What do you want Cupertino to head into? It's not a nitpicking on the city manager or city staff, and then even sue the staff. That's not the way to do it. That's absolutely not the way to do it. So that's why I say it's mismanagement, and that's why I'm stepping, trying to correct this track. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is going to go to you. And
Sure.
the question is, in what ways have you demonstrated innovation in your prior roles, meaning not within the city council, but outside the city council? And how will this be an asset, or is an asset for the city? And please use a specific example.
All right.
60 seconds. Thank you.
Specific question answer is Lehigh's issue. Okay. The pollution is there. Almost 100 years. Okay. We are polluting by this polluted air and then drinking this polluted water. None of the previous council want to do anything. None of the county official want to do anything. But it's hurting our health. So I'm the one taking it and then get it done. Right? So there's many ways we have to figure a way to generate more revenue for this city to accommodate the loss of the Apple's sales tax, because that's the agreement we signed just a couple of days ago, last week, with the state. This is a big issue. 30 million out of 120 million a year. I mean, 1/4 of your revenue is gone. And then none of the candidates want to mention this issue. This is the big issue. And then they have no ability to do it. I have to do it. I know how to do it. I have raised fund with the Apple negotiate.
Thank you very much. Ray?
Yeah, in my current role, I've brought people together, and I think it's about convening folks with different points of view to actually get work done. So I've brought together policymakers, pioneers, and what we call practitioners in artificial intelligence to work together to reimagine what's going to happen in the future in terms of what AI ethics and digital ethics look like. Not many of these folks don't necessarily get together. Sometimes they're not allowed to because they're in different industries, but I think it's really important to take the power of convening folks, to have the debate, to have the conversations, and to have the conversations to see different points of view. That's something I'd love to take back into the city. We have so many experts in the city that don't often get tapped, and I think it'd be great to open that up in terms of getting their discussion, their input, and of course helping us, build a better view of what we're trying to do in terms of our policies, and more importantly, use that opportunity to actually get more citizen involvement and build stronger communities.
Thank you very much. Gilbert?
That's a very good question. Over the past 8 years, I have served currently on the Foothill De Anza Community College trustee. We see that there is a need for our students who doesn't even have the basic need of food, housing insecurity, and other stuff. Together with our friends here in the city of Cupertino and in our district from Palo Alto down to West San Jose, we passed a $900 million bond measure. The bond measure will include $200 million for affordable housing. I'm very proud to work together with Supervisor Joe Simidian at the 321 Grant Avenue to have teacher housing built. We're really excited, and we're having a mini construction to see how we are doing with that construction. Second, we work together with the county to put a medical clinic at De Anza College. In the North County area, there's no basic needs services or any county clinic in the area from Cupertino to Palo Alto. These partnerships are very important. These are things that I want to bring to Cupertino to work together with both the county, the state, and the federal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Rod?
Yeah, thank you very much. So I led engineering teams for 30 years at 3 companies, one really big one, 2 startups. Both of those startups became successful, profitable businesses with hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue. One went public, the other, we filed to go public in the beginning of 2008, but that was a credit crisis. And so 2 years later, it was acquired by an already public company. And I learned how to work with other people. In the public sector, I worked with peer mayors in Mountain View and Sunnyvale to lay the groundwork for what became Silicon Valley Clean Energy. We've been bringing you less expensive, greener energy than PG&E since 2017. And that's inured to the benefit of all the residents here, as well as businesses in 12 cities in Silicon Valley. I also worked to bring you Silicon Valley Hopper, and worked to get safer bikeways to school, reducing traffic. Thank you.
Thank you. Kitty?
Right, thank you. So innovation in prior roles, I was a volunteer art instructor teaching elementary age students and the love of art, and I expanded the volunteer art program using my background with intercultural studies and early childhood development. When I was on the Planning Commission, we expanded I was the first planning commissioner actually to request that we have CEQA training. And that was the first time we had it there. In soccer, we expanded the youth program. I ran 17 teams and managed travel teams in comp soccer to help kids get to the next level. And my prior work in land development, I would do streets, storm drains, grading plans, design parking areas, did hydrology and hydraulics calculations to protect property from flooding. And I think overall, probably I'm most proud of the art instruction with the students because they all had a really good time. And I hope that they're all still creating because it's really good for mental health and yeah, thank you.
Very good, very cool. Claudio?
Well, what I do in my life is actually turning companies in difficulties and make them profitable. And I did turn Cupertino into a tourism hub in over 10 years that I'm the managing director for 2 hotels and winery. And so I made sure to remove market share from San Francisco, Oakland, and other area. And therefore, every week we do have Koreans, Japanese, and Europeans in busload coming to the Cupertino Hotel. And if it wasn't for the leisure markets helping us right now, then we might as well close because the corporate market isn't there. So it's about being innovative and think outside the box to make it work for everybody. And that's why we've been able to provide millions of dollars since I arrived in 2014. That's what I'm doing. And so I'm also created a nonprofit taking care of all the homeless crisis called givearoof.org, which has been noticed by the White House and currently in talks with Governor Newsom's office. Nobody, but I am doing it right now.
Thank you. So this topic has already come up a little bit, but we're going to jump into it very specifically, and that is residents of Cupertino look at the downtowns created in Mountain View and Sunnyvale. They experience Santana Row, and they want a similar vital downtown experience in Cupertino. So this is a yes, no, raise your hand question. Raise your hands if you agree that Cupertino needs to create a vital downtown. Okay, we're all yeses. Thank you very much. So the question for you is now, please explain why you say that, why creating a vital downtown is important, and how you would go about creating that downtown. And we're going to start with Claudio.
Perfect. So first and foremost,
In 60 seconds, excuse me.
yeah, we need to create a downtown that we deserve first and foremost, because we're going to get all the taxes that is currently going where this VALCO issue has been stagnant for over 10 years, and these past council members have not been able to happen. We need to build affordable housing. We have 52 acres in VALCO that is still not developed. We need to do so, and that is so important. And we need to have all that what resident needs and want as far as amenities, and that is lacking. So once we've built that, and once we are able to compromise and actually meet with developers instead of sending lawyers, then obviously, and we build a trust, and we'll be able to create a legacy and also secure not only fiscally but also receiving money, but also ensure that residents are happy and they get everything they're elsewhere that we don't have here. So it's time to build Cupertino for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you. Barry?
Yeah, I have approved Apple Park project that become the world attractive point. So now we have VALCO, which is, we can make it a world attractive point here too. Not only the downtown, all over the world, when they want to come to Apple or come to Cupertino, they will come to VALCO too. And that's what we can do. That's a vision I have to bring this city up on the scale of the world. And the only way you can do it, you have to negotiate with the developer, with the good faith. But some of the council members trashing the developer, some of the planning commissioner delaying their project. Who is going to trust them? No one will trust them. Even though when I was negotiating with Apple, I was, as I said before, I was with great respect to Apple. I don't trust my counterpart. That's not the way to get the job done. So the current council cannot do it, okay? And then the planning commission cannot do it, okay?
Thank you. Ray?
Yeah, there's an opportunity to reimagine what downtown looks like. It also requires the developer to participate because it ultimately is their project. We're in a point where it's ministerial review, but if we were to actually convene and ask residents what they want, which we've been asking as we've been knocking on doors, they definitely want more housing, less office space. They definitely want a movie theater. They're looking at experiences that they can bring people to. They want community space where people can continue to gather. They want the ability to have a walkable, livable environment, right? They want to be able to access high-end retail, but they also want to access value retail. So there are lots of opportunities to redesign this. I think it requires a reset between the developer and the city. And more importantly, it requires the ability to have not only affordable housing elements built into place, but also think about what the future of work looks like and what those experiences can be. We really do need this, not only from a quality of life perspective, but we also need it from a retail revenue and tax revenue perspective. And I think it's time for a reset between the developers and the community.
Thank you very much. Gilbert?
Thank you. I think everyone wants a downtown. I think the problem is that the economic forecast has been very challenging. Currently, our retail is on Stevens Creek Boulevard between Stelling and De Anza Boulevard. Now it's moving toward east. We have Cupertino Main Street that I have approved and is doing a very good job. We have Valco. Valco has been approved through SB 35. We cannot dictate to the developers what they need. But what Cupertinos I heard as I go door to door is that they want to have that movie theater back at Valco. They want to have the Seas Candy or affordable housing. I think that the council that was through Better Cupertino is throwing up roadblocks. Also, I'm not in all for Cupertino. We need to make sure that we have reasonable density and we listen to voters. We need to listen to our residents, so that it's very important that I, as bridging the community together, can bring folks together and not have lawsuits that will stop our city to grow. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rod?
Well, let's build a downtown at Valco, folks. 52 acres that's been dormant for far too long. And do we simply want more housing there? We could easily get just a sea of townhomes, maybe 1,000 or 1,200, because townhomes offer a developer good profit at low risk. Building a downtown takes negotiation and the right economic mix. You may recall the state entitled SB 35 project at the beginning of 2018, which had 20-story towers looming over the neighborhood to the west. We negotiated a better project with community benefits that was based on extensive resident input, and we can do that again with a strong council majority. With a downtown, we'll find more reasons to spend our money right here in Cupertino. We'll improve our sales tax base, which is critical since we've lost some $30 million annually in Apple sales tax due to a recent state ruling. Our schools will be stronger with a larger property tax base and with new housing for teachers and for young families.
Thank you. Kitty?
Thank you. So the question was, why is it important to have a downtown in Cupertino? It's important because it creates community. It reduces our retail leakage into other communities where we're losing our sales tax revenue, and it provides an opportunity for us to have recreation spaces as well. I grew up in Burlington, Vermont for part of my childhood, and I went to the University of Vermont and I worked on a project for the mayor at that time, who was Bernie Sanders. And he had, the city had agreed to close off the main street, which was a shopping area. And then what he was looking for in this project that I worked on was to find out how many parking spaces they needed. And they built parking garages outside of the main strip and it added outdoor dining for people. And I think that the Valco project, if they're looking to do a downtown, should look to cities like Burlington, Vermont, and there's some in Denmark as well, where they've closed off the main street to car traffic and really made it a walkable, friendly area for people. And I think everybody would enjoy the dining and shopping and entertainment here.
Thank you very much. Kitty, we're going to start with you on this next question, and several of you have touched on this already. Are the recent reductions in the city budget sustainable? If yes, why? If no, why not? And what would you do to make them sustainable? And the 60 seconds, and again, we'll start with you.
Yes, they are sustainable. The reason why is that some of the numbers that are being tossed around are not really accurate. So saying that we had a 30 million drop in the budget, that's not accurate with what we adopted for our sales tax. So for instance, in 2020, 2021, our adopted budget was $20.9 million. The actuals had come in 21 to 22 at 42 million. So the numbers that you're being quoted are if they go off the peak that we had to what we're budgeting right now. We also have some items in the budget which need to be cut back, such as our contingency amount, which is based off of cost allocation and materials. That can be reduced. We have things that we're budgeting for which we haven't spent our money on. So I think that we're actually in a pretty good financial situation right now, but it's going to require that we continue to make cuts in the budget, remove any of that bloat that's in there.
Thank you very much. And Barry, you want to use one of your rebuttals?
Yes.
Okay.
When the current council members say the $30 million budget situation, the tax situation from Apple is inaccurate. I would recommend her to check with the city manager. I just talked to the city manager last week, and that's what she told me. So what we will listen to the city council, we listen to the city manager. City manager is the one executing the project. Okay, so if the city council doesn't know what she's doing, she should not be there at all.
Thank you. Claudio, a question to you. I'll repeat it if you'd like.
Yes, please repeat.
Yeah. Are the recent reductions in the city budget sustainable? If yes, why? If no, why not? And what would you do to make them sustainable?
At the end of the day, we need to ensure that we have more. If they sustainable, yes, for a lot of resident, no, for a lot of resident. What we need to do here is to make sure not to hear we're doing well, but we need to do more. We're in downturn economy at this time, and businesses are still suffering. To say that we're doing well isn't so, and because the revenues, the sales tax are going less and less and less. So we need to make sure that our businesses are protected and they have incentives in order to thrive, and that's what we need to do. So there's a lot of ways to do. That's why I'm fighting every day to Chamber of Commerce to help all the small and medium businesses to thrive and to stay here in Cupertino. So there you go.
Thank you. Barry?
We know the problem. Okay, so the budget cut already happened. Okay, just check Queen Center and Senior Center. The weekend is closed. And then if we continue, don't deal with the budget crisis, we may have to cut the public safety and public health issue. Okay, we may have to reduce of our sheriff. This is really a problem. Okay, and the current council, as a council member, doesn't see it. It's really ridiculous. Okay, I don't think they're in their minds at the job. It's very obvious. Just go to the Queen Center and then go to the Senior Center on the weekend. It's closed. We have a nice facility, but the citizen cannot use it. Okay, so we have to really work on to get the more revenue in to solve this budget crisis. Okay, and then to help solve the problem, redevelop the Barco, getting the housing element so we don't let the builder remedy to get into our neighborhood.
Thank you very much. Ray?
Yeah, reductions in the city budget, are they sustainable? Well, I'll go back to what Kitty was saying. The 2021 budget was 20.9 million, and I think that's an important number to know because all the other stuff was excess. So using that as a baseline, I think is a good place to start. There are lots of places. We have 28 FTEs that were not accounted for some time. People actually put that in. These are, job positions that could have been eliminated or taken away to actually reduce that on the budget. Contingency amounts are there. I think I remember Kitty saying something earlier about some double counting of funds allocated for the library. Like we're budgeting for library funds when the county's actually paying for it. So there's a lot of fiscal accountability that has to happen. I know a lot of people say we have to be kind to city staff, but we also have to make sure that they are doing their job. And I think there's a good balance there. We spent $255 million on consultants and giveaways to developers, including $77 million for fees in lieu of fees to the developers when that's a $4.5 billion project. So we got to get smarter about how we do that. And we also actually have to improve our procurement systems. So it is sustainable, but we actually have to be smarter about this.
Thank you. Gilbert?
I think first I want to say thank you to the city staff for suing the state and not taking our money going back regarding the Apple tax. Going forward, we have to be more mindful. Yes, level of services has been reduced, as former Mayor Chang said, and there's opportunities where I feel that City Council has missed. When we suggested raising the transit occupancy tax, it was a large number, 2 to 3%, and even Claudio Bono said that was too high. We should have done it by 1%, and we need to have those kind of opportunities to build our revenue. And as we see level of service declining, we as a council has to be bold and suggest bold measures on how to do regarding full-time employees that are not being filled. Do we really need them? Why aren't they being filled? If they're not being filled, let's let it go. There's many different opportunities. You need an experienced leader, a proven leader who's willing to pull the levers and make these suggestions so that we can save money and increase our level of service. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rod.
Well, this is absolutely not sustainable. You know, the state could have won a judgment that could have bankrupted us. They could have said from the time they notified us a couple years ago that we no longer had that 30 million, and they could have clawed back another 3 years. That would have absolutely bankrupted the city of Cupertino, and other cities have gone bankrupt. Take a look at Stockton and some in Southern California. So we've lost programs, no fireworks, no city funding for Shakespeare in the Park this summer, less money for other parks and rec programs. And soon enough, it'll come that we don't have as much money for public safety, for library programs, for the senior center. And for paving our roads and maintaining our trees. So this is a serious problem. And rather than taxing us, I think it makes great sense to go in for good economic development. Had we had not some people on this forum that were blocking development for the last 10 years, you know, we could have already been a long ways toward building that downtown we talked about.
Thank you. Rod, we're going to keep you live here. What are the 3 things you will do to make Cupertino more business friendly? And again, please be specific, and you have 60 seconds.
Well, we do need to make room for more folks here. Our businesses rely on workers. Our hotels do, our restaurants do. We rely on public safety employees to keep us safe. We rely on teachers to teach our kids. And they're all struggling to live here. They're coming in from places like Stockton or San Benito County. So a major boost to business is to build more housing at all income levels in Cupertino so we can be successful. We may or may not need more office. You know, the market is soft. In 2015, when I was mayor, Splunk was eager to find a home here in South Bay in Cupertino, but there wasn't enough space at the time. So it's a matter of timing, interest rates, and other things. If we get a downtown that ends up looking like Santana Row, where Splunk landed, we could easily diversify our tax base. Main Street is good, but it is not a big enough destination.
Thank you very much. Kitty?
Well, this is certainly a challenge. So as we look to San Jose, they have a 31% office vacancy rate. There's 3.4 million square feet of office sitting vacant in San Jose. We need to support our property owners to meet the new market realities with what they're actually able to get for lease amounts. And that those numbers keep going down. And as you've seen in Cupertino, we've had office building after office building become vacant. We can allow some zoning changes for these commercial spaces, allowing the tutoring centers and things like that. An innovation zone was planned years ago for the Bub Road area. If that idea could be brought up again in order to have some diversity with the types of business that we have here, kind of like incubator spaces. They do this in Sunnyvale. Something like that could be discussed. Also, we need to bring back the Economic Development Committee.
Thank you very much. Claudio?
Well, this is what I've been doing for the past 10 years through the chambers to help businesses to stay in Cupertino, but we're not making it easier or friendlier for them to stay here. And I'll just use a little example with my business license. I was 1 week away for it to expire. It was $1,750, and I've been giving millions of dollars to the city of Cupertino, and here I am trying to renew a license. The system is not working. Then a few days later, I tried, oops, I'm 2 days later, and now here I am, penalized 100% for repaying the whole thing. So simply because we have deficient systems, that is not helping the businesses. So therefore, my business license was $3,500, and you know how much it is in Sunnyvale? $10. So at the end of the day, we need to provide incentives for businesses in order for them to stay, create affordable housing, prioritizing our teachers, first responders, hotel workers, nail technician, and diversify our tax base. Thank you.
Thank you. Barry?
To prevent the situation, we have to welcome more people to Cupertino. build a world-class shopping center on the Vaco, like what we approved for the Apple Park. More inclusive, more welcoming. Don't be like the former mayor was talking about building a wall around Cupertino to keep everybody out of it. That's better Cupertino's people. That's wrong. That's totally wrong. We have to inclusive, bring more people in. So Chinese saying, when there's a people, there's a prosperity. When the people don't want to come Cupertino, then there's no shopping here. There's no diamond shop in Cupertino. There's no retail sale tax. And then we should focus on the housing units at a commercial area. Okay, so we have to rezone it to let all the multiple unit stay in the commercial area, not into the residential area. Instead of, so we have to approve the housing element.
Thank you very much. Ray,
Hi, Tracy. Can you repeat the question again, just so we're
happy
clear?
to. What 3 things will you do to make Cupertino more business friendly? Please be specific.
Yeah, I think the first one is to re-engage and create a small business council. I've been talking to a lot of small business owners, and whether it's permitting or requirements or just being able to actually get stuff done in the city, those experiences are real. People are having a tough time getting stuff approved in time. Also, we can actually reinstate the Economic Development Committee. There was one that was put into place, but somehow the majority members in the council thought it'd be great to get rid of the committee. Not sure why you would do that, especially when we're trying to solve these problems. And then third of all, more events and experiences. We can bring back a restaurant week, Bobatino. We can actually find different ways to actually take themes. We can actually create different types of talks and experiences that actually create better programming and actually build that into the model so that people want to come to Cupertino, see Cupertino as a place to actually create and actually experience something they can do with their families, their friends, and of course, be able to build out, the rest of their, build the economic development with quality of life. So.
Thank you very much. Gilbert?
Supporting local business has always been a priority for me. Cupertino small businesses are the backbone of our economy, and we need to ensure they thrive. I believe in creating policies that reduce bureaucratic barriers and make it easier for small business to operate and grow. Not only I'll bring back the Development Economic Council and not get rid of it when the majority has it or minority has it, that I believe that we should have a manager who specifically goes through the bureaucracy. I have a problem. I can't get my license or I can't get the permit. That how can this person help small business owners as well as businesses get through the bureaucracies. I also support initiatives that encourage shopping locally and strengthening partnership with our Chamber of Commerce to attract new businesses. With my experience serving on various boards, including De Anza College, Foothill Board Trustee, I understand how important the education and workforce development are to economic growth. We need to partner with Apple Computers and other companies to provide interims for our high school students as well as our De Anza College students too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Gilbert, the next one goes to you as well, and it will be for 60 seconds. In Cupertino, the debate on growth and housing continues. Concerns about growth include traffic congestion, water use, disruption of the style of life people in Cupertino have grown accustomed to. On the other side is the real need to meet the state's legally mandated growth in housing. So, do you support further growth in housing? And if so, why and how will you address the concerns raised by residents from that growth? And if you don't support growth in housing, please explain how and you will meet the state mandated growth in housing to avoid further builder remedy solutions.
I strongly feel that we believe that we need to follow the law. We need to follow the law and make sure that things are done on time, like the housing element. Instead of arguing for better for Cupertino for all or arguing for better Cupertino, I think that we need council members that can bring people together. I think that all the candidates here are just wonderful, and we just need to learn how can we get along. I see a lot of infighting and a lot of things that filibustering, and this is not a council that I want. This is not where I feel proud to raise my $2 and to see this kind of infighting. I think that we know what we need to do. We just need to get the work done, and results has to be driven. This is what Cupertino voters are asking for, is that let's grow up, not be little kids and fight back and forth and get things done. Thank you.
Thank you. Rod?
Well, Okay, so, you know, the state mandates that we build housing. It is essential that we navigate these laws and not simply say no. And why do they do this? It's critical for people to have the opportunity to live close to where they work. It's not sustainable to ask teachers, public safety workers, or anybody else to drive to Cupertino from places very far away. And that's fundamentally it. This is both economic, it's important for the climate, it's important for people who raise families that teach our kids, and it's just essential for their quality of life. So we have to mitigate the impacts, as we've done with SV Hopper, and eventually we will do it with transit. And eventually, if we're putting things near our major urban pathways, our urban core, for example, at Valco, we can concentrate transportation resources there to help mitigate the traffic.
Thank you. Kitty.
Okay, well, the state certainly put a challenge in front of us of the 4,588 units, which we were supposed to provide locations for. It took us well over 50 sites. In contrast, when we had our last housing element, it took only 5 sites to locate 1,064 units. So we have a great challenge there. I'm very concerned about our infrastructure with regards to our sewage system, water, and what's going to happen with our sewage treatment plants, especially since they're located near the bottom of the bay and we're looking at sea level rise. It's going to be very costly moving forward in order to have that accommodated. Valco, the one great thing about the Valco project is that it has 890 affordable units. For example, the veranda, 350 square foot units, 760,000. Those units at Valco are worth about $500 million to the community. So we want to ensure that those affordable units are in whatever plan they have moving forward. We need them.
Thank you. Claudio?
So it mandates us to grow by 4,588. So we need a council that is really focused on that and that is able to negotiate with developers with housing that makes sense. Additionally, we should be more optimistic for the future because at the end of the day, traffic, sewage, and everything else is not a Cupertino issue alone. It's a regional issue. And the more we build affordable housing for our nail technician, restaurant workers, hotel workers, and all, there will be, and we expand our regional VTA, that automatically will be less of a congestion, and we can favor biking and walking because they would be in town. So keep in mind, Rome was built a long time ago, but you know what? They managed to do all the transportation and the way they're doing things. And if we can say we cannot do it here, then I would vouch for someone to go to Rome to see how they do it because it's amazing. When you're willing, you make it happen.
Thank you. Barry?
We need to provide the housing. That's common sense. When California increased the population so much, so many, we are all newcomer. I remember 40 years ago when I first came to Cupertino, I don't feel welcoming. The existing residents don't feel that we don't want Chinese. Okay, oh, they call it they. And when I was on city council, I talked to fellow Cupertino people, and they don't agree with me, and they want to see my body hanging on the tree, hanging in the wind, which is really bad. That's really bad situation. So unless you're a responsible person, responsible California person, you have to take that part of that responsibility and provide the housing for the newcomer. We are all newcomer, and then there will be more newcomer to come into Cupertino. And you cannot build a wall. You cannot just nitpicking on developer and hoping they will work with you. That's dreaming about it.
Thank you very much.
That is the reality, okay?
Thank you. Ray?
First of all, Cupertino is a suburban community. We're more like Saratoga and Los Gatos than we are New York City or San Francisco. That's why people choose to live in Cupertino. And we can work hard to meet our housing element and requirements as well as deliver on that. We do need more ownership housing. We need a diversity of housing choices. People need to be able to leave their existing larger homes and downsize in a way that they're going to feel comfortable. And so these are options we can look at. but we cannot have council members sabotaging our housing element by submitting items late to the wrong level of density in the wrong part of town. That's what's been happening. That's why we have the current situation. I think it's very important to know that a lot of these RHNA number calculations may not be correct, but we also need to make sure that if we are responsible and trying to get 890 affordable units from our developer, that those units get built and do not get pushed aside. It's a very, very valuable asset. And we also need to make sure that if we're going to build housing, we build it in the right intensity, in the right neighborhood. We cannot have 23-unit buildings in the middle of a single-family R1 zone area. That's just not acceptable. And we should use the remaining local control we have to deliver on that.
Thank you very much. So Ray, we're going to stick with you. And this question is for 60 seconds. Cupertino is aging, and that comes with several challenges. Fewer children, therefore potential school closures, different demands on retail, dining, and entertainment, therefore potential business closures, and certainly different kinds of housing needs. Should Cupertino embrace the shifting demographic change and embrace the needs of an older population? If yes, why? And what does that mean to services provided by the city? And if no, what can the city do to reverse the demographic trend?
It's a great question. There's a couple things here. I think the first part is we do have an aging population. We do have a lot of people on fixed income and number of retirees. And I think, given the way the tax situation is, it's very hard to leave because the tax basis on Prop 13 makes it hard for people to leave their homes. We can create opportunities to downsize so that they can keep their tax basis. There are certain laws that have been passed that do that. And that requires us to build housing, senior housing, memory care, places where people can stay, nursing homes if you want to embrace that route. But we can also have both. We can actually bring more people into the neighborhoods. And that's really what the housing element is trying to do, to renew neighbors and neighborhoods. But I want to tackle a myth about declining enrollment. I don't think we have that declining enrollment in general. We do in public schools, but we also have a shift of a number of families sending their kids to private schools instead of public schools because they're worried about what type of education is being taught. And I think that's something that needs to be factored, because if we were hurting, there wouldn't be as many after-school programs as we have today. They're all seem to be thriving and doing very well.
Thank you very much. Gilbert?
Thank you. Senior housing is crucial, but it's also important that we have balanced new developments with preserving the character of our neighborhoods. During my time on Foothill De Anza, we also had the challenge of balancing between students and teaching, and why can't we do it all? As council members, I would advocate for a collaborative approach, working closely with residents, developers, and regional partners to create housing solutions that serve both the current and future generations. We need to pursue opportunities for affordable housing near transit corridors while ensuring that any development is done in a way that respects the concern of our community. I believe that there's been a lot of misunderstanding that as we build out, that there has been some lies or exaggeration, like the builder's remedy, that did a lot of scare tactics. It's very important that we get correct, clear information from our city manager, from our city staff. These kind of scare tactics should not scare people to vote one way or the other. There's just no trust on the city council.
Thank you. And Rod, I think you had your hand up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm a school board trustee and I would like to use a rebuttal here.
Yeah.
It's just been the case for a good decade that we've had a decline in school enrollment, and there's been a myth that our schools are overcrowded. Well, the impact of having declining school enrollment is that we've closed 3 CUSD schools, and not because they're not great schools and not because we don't have great teachers. So at FUHSD, we've had to begin to restrict options like world language because we have declining enrollment. And this is just a fact. We need to fix this.
Thank you very much. And Rod, actually, Gilbert, you'd like to rebut?
Yes. In general, as a trustee, just like Rod, but for the Foothill De Anza Community College, we're also reaching decline as well too. We need to reinvent our schools, maybe public or private. And yes, private sector has been attracting some of the students, but at De Anza College, we need to make sure that we look into our technical schools. We're very innovative with Apple, NVIDIA, Tesla, and our automotive program has just become a 4-year degree. And these are the ways that we can attract more students. More students mean more revenue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rod.
Well, should Cupertino embrace our aging population? Absolutely. We have great facilities in the Forum at Rancho. I know many folks choose to live there. Hi to all of them. At Sunnyview, we have Chateau Cupertino. We have some great senior facilities. However, we also have to make room for families with young kids. We need to make room for teachers. We need to make room to have a downtown where we can all enjoy going out to dinner, no matter what age we are. And we need to have an opportunity for entertainment. And so I think we can do both here. We need to pay attention to the needs of our seniors, have more mobile-friendly options, which is why Silicon Valley Hopper has been such a boon for folks who can't drive, maybe the aunties that come over from another country and essentially have no mobility during the day. And we need to make this a senior-friendly community.
Thank you. Kitty.
Hey, thank you. So we certainly need to support our senior population. When you look at the Westport project, we have 48 senior below market rate units already there and occupied. We have 88 row houses and townhouses that have been built. And there's a new building that's coming in, which is by Atria, which will have 35 memory care units in there as well. So we are working on this. We have about 257 units approved at the north end of the west side of Valco, which will have the teacher housing. And we're also looking at having transitional housing there for people who are formerly unhoused. We have also approved housing at the corner of Foothill and Stevens Creek Boulevard. There's 9 units that have gone in there. They're almost completed. And further down, we have Canyon Crossing, also on Foothill, providing more housing. We also need to do something with our senior center to make sure that seniors are able to navigate the complex it's the complex insurance issues that they're facing as they age. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Claudio?
Well, obviously, yes, we do have an aging population. And actually, in late 2014, I reshaped Chateau Cupertino that takes care of our older population. But I hate to say it, they're all relying on transportation, amenities, and all of that. So it touches on affordability to ensure that we have the proper staff to take care of them. Like Rod said earlier with the forum, they need to have housing for them available in case of additional issue. And we need to rely on transportation to go on point A, point B. So that, and we need to have the housing affordability as well to welcome all the workers here. So we need to embrace the fact that it's indeed, we need to take care of them, but we also need to have fun. And that's why I was a little bit wondering what was going on earlier, because the city is not doing well. We need to restore quality of life, and then we need to make sure that the senior center is well taken care of. And we need to be more approachable to the business in order to get more taxes.
Thank you. Barry?
I'm the only candidate actually volunteer at the Cupertino Senior Center over 2 years. So I know the situation. I really enjoy working with the senior. Okay. And there's a lot of need can be improved, but I will go into the detail here. I won't go into the detail here. The main reason we have this student decline is because we don't build new houses to welcome the younger generation to come in with the kid. And then for one of the candidates say, oh, student is not in declination. I mean, he's not doing his job, his work. There's 3 schools closed already, Regna and 2 more. And then when the Regna closed, none of the candidates helping them. I was the one helping with the parent. So the candidate is out of touch, don't know exactly what's going on. We have to solve this problem. We have to build more affordable housing in the commercial area, and then approve the housing element. Don't let it get into the building.
Thank you.
Revenue.
Thank you very much. The next question is to you, Barry, as well, and it's for 60 seconds.
Sure.
Acknowledging that the schools are not the responsibility of the city council, nevertheless, many city policies and city resources could benefit the schools. What are the top 3 ways for how the city can support our schools?
Well, continue, when I was on school board and also on city council, continue the cooperation of the field operation. we can use this school, then we help them maintain the yard, the schoolyard. Okay, that's the cooperation is there. It's just how you want to work together, but have to face the reality, tell the truth. Don't lie. The problem I saw this in this election here is so many lies. Okay, we have to face the reality, working with the school district with all different programs, after school program also, and that's how we get the problem solved instead of just lying to their teeth. It's bad. It's really bad.
Thank you. Ray?
Yeah, I actually think it's the school issue is really important. I think one of the things that the city can do, because we don't have jurisdiction over the school lands, as you mentioned, is ensure that public lands are not sold for privatization or profits. A great example of this, right? Someone was mentioning that schools were being closed, but they weren't mentioning the fact that, take Regnart, for example, there was, they said there was declining enrollment. They shut down the schools and they give it to a private school that now charges $40,000 a year for students to go there, and it's full. Yeah, that's a problem, right? And we can manage that by making sure how permits are actually set up. And Regnart was being closed because, oh, we're out of money. Well, that year there was $16 million in surplus in the budget. So I think some of us are actually in tune much more than others. And I think the important piece here is that we continue to build cooperation with the school districts so that we don't privatize public lands for profits, and we ensure that students get the resources they need, safe routes to school, and of course, mental health services that they need, and of course, public safety along the way.
Thank you. Gilbert?
Thank you very much, and this is very important. So school decisions is made by the Cupertino School District or the Fremont Union High School District. If the schools decided to close, then that is the responsibility of trustees like Rod Sinks. I think that if they decide to close and make a profit, then you should run for school board. I think that traffic is very important where our jurisdiction is that, as Ray said, is safe route for schools, bicycle safety. How can we make sure that students get there safe? Partnership, as I mentioned at Sedgwick Elementary School, that there's an opportunity where we can buy land and have maybe a cricket pitch, or maybe have more soccer fields or volleyball. These are the things that were mentioned that it's done. Yes, maybe from a school board trustee said that the city manager did not share that information with their council members, but these are things that we might want to have an open discussion as the information is slowly getting out. These are opportunities that residents in Eastern Cupertino wants to do.
Thank you very much. Rod?
Is this 60 seconds?
60.
Okay. Well, we've heard Ray, and I've heard many others over the years argue that our schools are overcrowded. We've heard that, the public schools aren't so great. I'm here to tell you that they're terrific. They've never been better. We have private schools here because parents need choice. Parents want choice. But the truth is that private schools are also failing. They are also suffering declining enrollment. It's been in a continue to decline for the next few years. And it's because we're aging in place. And I'm a trustee, as I've said, with FUHSD. We don't anticipate closing any of our campuses, but we have had to entertain challenging student rebalancing decisions between our campuses and have started to prune elective offerings. We're going to lose about 2,000 students over the next 5 years. And that's not because we don't have an exceptional high school program. Building more housing is an answer to these things. It brings more property taxes, which is a primary benefit to our public schools.
Thank you. Kitty?
I'm going to ask you to please repeat the question, Tracy.
Happy to do that. Acknowledging that the schools are not the responsibility of the city council. Nevertheless, many city policies and city resources could benefit the schools. What are your top 3 ways for how the city can support our schools?
Okay, thank you. Well, we do the maintenance and irrigation of 9 out of 11 of the schools, and we do small construction projects like batting cages. So that does support the schools. It's a very expensive operation. In exchange, we get the field use, which we then charge our youth sports leagues to use. I mentioned earlier, I had worked on soccer, so I'm very well aware of this. And with regards to Regnart, that particular closure has bothered me ever since. It became a private school. It's a private school for gifted children at, as Ray mentioned, about $40,000 per year. And the lease money, some people think it goes to the city of Cupertino. It doesn't. It goes to the school district. And that school needed to then, and the district needed to come to city council and get permission to change the zoning, which we did. So we benefited the school district in that way. There is a site, a Phil Lane next to Sedgwick. We had suggested buying that property for the city parks, but we do have Lawrence Mitty on the east side of Cupertino.
Thank you very much. And Claudio, to you.
Thank you. Well, I've heard a lot of answers, but I don't think it addressed exactly your question of how to support schools. Really, first and foremost, we should actually meet with them and see and listen to what their needs are. And again, I hate to say affordable housing needs to be done so that we make sure that our teachers are
Claudio, I'm going to pause you for a minute and suggest you turn off your video if you can hear me.
I promote the school and attract you.
I'm going to give him a minute here.
Now?
I'm going to ask the IT team to call him and let him know.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Claudio, we can't, but I suggest you, if you can hear me, turn off your video. Okay, Claudio, please go ahead. Try again.
Sorry, happened to me years ago, and here we go again. So sorry about that. So
just turn off your video to help your bandwidth, and then I'm going to let you start again. So
okay, thank you.
So please go ahead and begin your response again.
I was saying that obviously we need to find ways to listen to the schools. We need to find out what that they need. And again, we need to have affordable housing to ensure that we have teachers able to live here and stay in Cupertino, create incentives to collaborate and promote schools and attract students to stay here. Keep in mind, there are still a lot of students sleeping in their car in parking lots. So we also need to make it safe for them to be in Cupertino to begin with. And it also for families, we need to make sure we have safe route. And we need to make sure that the bike lane safety is appropriate, and because it's still a concern today with a lot of families, and rightfully so. There's still a lot of issues of accidents or near miss. So we need to make sure we promote safety and we attract and we make sure that our schools are successful, but we also need to make sure and learn from them what it is that we can do on our city council to ensure that they are successful.
Thank you very much. And Claudia, you're going to get the next question, which is for 60 seconds. The question is, are there governmental entities with whom Cupertino should partner to create shared amenities and or services for the residents of Cupertino? And I want to first, but via show of hands, just say, do you agree, all of you, just show of hands, do you agree Cupertino should pursue those kinds of partnerships? Anybody? Okay, everybody. So to all of you who said yes, which was everyone, what are those partners and what's an example of the shared amenity or service you would pursue? And Claudio, you'll start with 60 seconds.
Right. Hopefully I don't get out. Well, first and foremost, we talked about Shakespeare in the Park. We need to have a quality of life and to make sure that the city is profitable in order to provide amenities to our residents and to make sure that we do have a 4th of July fireworks as well. Although I got to say this year, we're actually lucky not to have it because at the end of the day, we had fires and a lot of counties canceled the fireworks. So people need to change their tune. It's not for them. It was to ensure that we don't have any fires. But having so, we need to make sure we get incentives, and it's part of the economic development as well to ensure that we are offering incentive to partnering with anyone and everyone that is allowing to promote amenities in Cupertino and to make sure that we can offer something different than other city or being innovative, I'm sorry, in whatever ways possible. And at the end of the day, we need to be open for that.
Thank you very much. Barry?
yes, that's a great idea to including the resident. One of the example is the pickleball. Pickleball is a very popular game. It's suited for every age, all shape, all gender. It can bring this community together, and it doesn't really spend that much money of city budget. All you need to do is just the current tennis court, just put the 9 in there, permanent 9, and then don't give them the hard time. Because I mean, if you have time, come to Cupertino Memorial Park, just look at it. On the weekend, there's so many people playing on the pickleball, and they only have 2 tennis court market for it. And then there's other 4 tennis court. There's no conflict, okay? So that's a way to bring it together. And then I'm also advocating for the pickleball tournament. When we have done it, will become a signature event. There will be more people come to Cupertino. They will shop, they will dine.
Thank you.
Here.
Appreciate it. Ray.
Yeah, I think there are lots of places where we can partner. When we think about areas around public safety, we can work better with different interagencies in terms of making sure that we link our license plate readers, our ability to kind of track crime that happens across jurisdictions. I think there are opportunities as well when we look at state grants for small businesses and small business regions, looking at opportunity zones. So working to actually provide individuals with the access to that capital to create small businesses that they want to help as well. But there's also other things we can do on an easy level, which is creating forums, right? We already have regional authorities like ABAG and MTC and other places. We can create them as well for other areas around mental health, safety, things around education. The grants are available. There's state grants and federal grants that we can access that we might not have done so before. So I think it's worth investing in those grant programs and grant writing to get that. Might not happen in an administration period of time, but it's good to set that stage for other folks for future generations as well.
Thank you. Gilbert.
Tracy, can you do me a favor and repeat the question, please?
Happy to. Are there governmental entities with whom Cupertino should partner to create shared amenities and/or services for the residents of Cupertino?
And I want to make sure that I answer the question directly, as some of the other folks were getting a little bit off there. It's very important that if we're going to have partnership that we contract out, is that it should not be private. I think that it's very important that we keep everything public. One of those public partnerships that we do in the city of Cupertino is our library services. We have an excellent library services on the Santa Clara County Library District, which I served as on the board of directors and chair on that governing board. Our library circulation is one of the largest in Santa Clara County, from cities with Los Altos Hills, down to Morgan Hill, Gilroy, and Milpitas. Other great partnerships that we have is already with the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department, where some cities and county or services are done together, as well as our fire. Something that I would think outside the box is that maybe it's time for direct elections for VTA. Cupertino is not getting its fair share, and we have to share it with other West Valley cities. We need to make sure that somebody is elected from Cupertino to make sure that we have our say as well too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rod?
Well, we do need to work with these regional agencies because they have power from the state. They have resources that we just can't afford. So let's talk a little bit about the fact that we all want to feel safe in our homes and in our neighborhoods, and we deserve that. So we need to work with sheriff and fire, as I did for 9 years on the city council. I served as the chair of the Bay Area Air Quality Management District in 2020. That culminated 6 years of service to keep our air clean, and negotiated a deal to reduce pollution from the Lehigh cement plant. I initiated Silicon Valley Clean Energy, co-founded it, and was the first chair of that agency. And that's done a world of good for us. I was part of VTA for quite some years. I was a key negotiator of 2016 Measure B. I also worked with the county on Affordable Housing Measure A in 2016. We need to work with the state to create laws that serve us. I am proud to have worked on tech and energy policy with Anna Eshoo and Ro Khanna in our Congress.
Thank you very much. Kitty?
Great, thank you. So first, 2016 Measure B, that's our Bradley Burns sales tax. We used to be the #2 sales tax producer in the county, and now we are much, much lower in the pecking order than before. And Cupertino partnered with Santa Clara to get the $8 million expansion of Silicon Valley Hopper between both of those cities. And just today, I serve on the Finance Subcommittee of the Santa Clara County Library District Joint Powers Authority, which I was appointed to by that board, and where we review their budget and financial documents. I'm pleased to report that our children's corner of our library will be receiving nearly $1 million upgrade funded by the JPA to encourage our youngest readers. And please stop by the library on Saturday. It is their 20th anniversary event, and enjoy the popular expansion rooms in the busiest library in the district.
Thank
Now,
you.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, this will come as a great relief to everybody. We're at our last question. And that, again, for our audience, this question was provided in advance. Kitty, you're going to kick us off. You have 90 seconds. And the question is, what question do you wish we had asked you during this forum? And what is your response? Please go ahead.
Right, thank you. So the question I wish I was asked was, what accomplishments has the city council made that we're proud of? And we'll start with the Westport Senior Below Market Rate Housing. We opened 48 senior homes. The Mary Avenue Housing Project, where the city provided land for Rotary housing. It's going to provide new housing for people with developmental disabilities, which is unique for our city. We have had groundbreaking for the Jolly Man all-inclusive playground, which had millions of grant funding added to it. The sports center was protected from being torn down and given to developers. We had a full house that night trying to make sure that the sports center would be saved. The city hall was protected from being torn down and given to developers. Memorial Pond Repurposing Project won the Project of the Year award. For climate and environment, the city of Cupertino was recognized as a climate action leader on the CDP 2022 A-list. Lehigh Cement Plant was shut down permanently from making toxic cement. The city of Cupertino was awarded over $8 million to improve and expand via Cupertino, Silicon Valley Hopper. Ragnarok Creek Trail projects win Project of the Year award. The City Council celebrated the library expansion ribbon cutting because education matters in Cupertino. And lastly, the Lawrence Mitty property was annexed into the city of Cupertino to provide much needed parkland to the east side. Thank you.
Thank you. And I assume that was one of your supporters in the background.
That is, and he wants some food. Thank you.
Thank you. Claudio.
All right, the question would be, how different is the new council would be if I'm elected compared to previous council? Well, I would meet with developers, no lawyers. I would build trust, making way for progress, build the affordable housing we need. I know how to listen to residents. I certainly know how to negotiate on behalf of the resident. Let's build a legacy and build Cupertino for the next generation. Elect Claudio Bono if you want honesty, integrity, and let's protect our city staff and build a vibrant community. Vet your candidates. Many of them had years to make a difference and nothing happened. So why now another 4 years? So I'm humbly asking for your vote so that we can finally move Cupertino forward. Vote number 3 on your ballot. Visit Bono or Cupertino2024.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Barry.
I think you guys forgot to ask a question. Like President Ronald Reagan used to say, to ask, are we better off now than 4 years ago? So Cupertino, are we better off now than 4 years ago? We are not. We are in a fiscal crisis. We are in deficit in budget. Okay, then we have the build a remedy intruding into our residential area, and then building 23 units on Schofield, and then building 70 units on Linda Vista. All this because the council, the current council, or the previous council did not do their job to approve the housing element. And one of the council sitting here as a candidate, she voted no on May 14 this year on the housing element. And then now she claimed she's going to help the residents solve this problem. come on, give me a break. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to the voter. So ask your question. Are we better off now? The Queen Center closed on the weekend. The senior center closed on the weekend. A lot of vital service has been cut. We are not better off. So we have to do it. You have to get rid of those not doing their job, the candidate to be on the council again. If they do, then we'll have much more problem. And no builder, I can tell you now, no builder will build any unit in Cupertino if we have the council keep nitpicking on them and keep trashing them. No one don't want to be deal with that kind of situation.
Thank you so much. Ray.
Yeah, there's a question that I ask people when we knock on doors, and it's the question of, what do you love about living in Cupertino? And I think it's really, we hear all these different answers, but for me, it's the diversity of my neighbors, the interesting people we meet along the way, the suburban character and lifestyle. We love the ability to get to different types of restaurants and ethnic foods, learn different cultures. Just this weekend, we were in Quinlan Center doing, Bollywood dance with, I think Kitty and I were there having some fun, like exploring new cultures. It's meeting a neighbor on the street, walking on the ground and being able to talk to folks. It's seeing pets. It's the great schools. People love that. That's the feeling of safety that we hope to continue to keep. All those things are things that people love about Cupertino, and they want to keep it that way. And they want to make sure that other people have opportunities to explore that and see that. And so I think it comes down to building that community, those neighbors, those experiences, that diversity, the great schools, the public safety. And these are the things that we want to continue to give people. And that starts with having good fiscal accountability and responsibility that's there. And of course, thinking about how we can improve Cupertino for everybody and give them opportunities to actually build their lives here, take care of their relatives, and of course, retire here comfortably without an increase in taxes, and of course, without any additional sets of burdens. So vote number 5, that's where we are. And vote number 1, if you want a resident-focused council with Kitty Moore and myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Gilbert.
I want to say first, thank you very much for the time the League of Women Voters has provided for us. The question I want to ask is, what have I accomplished and what do I want to do when I get elected onto the city council? Things that I'm very proud of accomplished was Apple Park. Yeah, we were hoping for 5 council members, but only ended up with 4. I believe that it's very important that we work together and we're able to ask for that Apple store through the visitors center. Also, we have a world-refounded company that even stayed here, and we also was able to ask together with Mark Santoro for that overpass on Wolf Road to go from 4 lanes to 6 lanes. Second, important to me is our parks and trails. We love going to Rancho County Park, and we were able to accomplish the Stevens Creek Trail, the restoration of Blackberry Farm and Stockelmeyer House and Mulholland Ranch. We have so much history in Cupertino that we need to preserve. We want to finish the trail from the bay to the sea, and that opportunity lies in the hills of Cupertino, that from Linda Vista Park to the county reservoir. And lastly, we need a downtown. We were able to get a vehicle that was approved, that Ross Sinks and I, together with Barry, passed, but it was stopped because of a referendum. We need to get the rights done. We need more affordable housing in Cupertino so we can have great public schools in our city, as well as a great Dean's College.
Thank you very much. And Rod?
Question is, who else do you support and why? And my team is out on knocking on doors for Hung Wei and Rod Sinks. And why? Because she did an outstanding job as mayor in 2023 when Sheila and JR joined her in a new council majority, restoring morale, ethics, and civility at City Hall. And she led the city to get our state-mandated housing element approved. Because despite the illness you may have heard about, she remains a well-known popular leader who can win. And for the 2 seats on the council, Hung and I have the sole endorsement of the County Democratic Party, the Silicon Valley Asia Pacific American Democratic Club, and the League of Conservation Voters. We have the sole endorsement of Congressman Ro Khanna, and we have solely endorsed each other. Let's not go back to the dark ages at City Hall with grand jury reports and investigations highlighting council misbehavior, nor with lack of economic development that should be a key engine for the city. There's some very tall tales being propagated by candidates, 2 of them here, and their acolytes on places like next door, and they are running a strong campaign. If with your help to fund our campaigns or walk door to door for us, we'll get out a better message to voters and gain a supermajority to finally negotiate a downtown and move our city forward. This is vital, folks. It's time. We've had an economic decline for 10 years, and we need to get back. We need to get that engine running again. Thanks for attending this forum, and thanks to the League of Women Voters.
Thank you very much. And that's the end of our forum. And we have one more slide that's going to pop up here. We want to thank the candidates. I personally want to sincerely thank you for running for office. It is a long, hard job. It pays terribly, and it consumes an awful lot of time. And you help make our community better by doing what you do. So thank you very much. To our faithful attendees who have hung all the way through the end here, thank you for attending. And as the slide before you shows, the forum is now over. This webinar is finished, and in a few days you can find a recording to the webinar at the address shown. And so I wish all the candidates the very best of luck in the remaining time for the campaign, and very much appreciate your full and excellent participation. Thank you.